When most people think of New York, they think of the Big Apple. But upstate New York is filled with welcoming and picturesque neighborhoods, which is exactly why homeowner Chris Dorenzo is raising his family there.
We were really drawn to this neighborhood where I grew up, knowing that it's a very quiet, family-friendly neighborhood.
Chris and his wife purchased a home in the town of Lyons. And before they can even bring in their first moving box, they're introduced to the neighborhood busybody who lives right next door.
The day that we did close on the home and got the keys, we were out front and she came out of her front door and said, "Hi, I'm the new neighbor. Your lawn really needs to be mowed."
One morning, as the fall turns to winter, they look outside and see something new attached with zip ties directly to their house, a snow fence.
So a snow fence typically help prevent the snow from blowing over the road or over your driveway. It is very uncommon to find a snow fence in a residential backyard, such as this.
Chris and his wife decide they don't want their neighbor's apparatus on their property when she's never asked permission in the first place. They remove the fence from their house and take videos of themselves doing so to post on social media. But after taking the fence down themselves, the neighbor puts it back up while she thinks nobody's watching. Once she's done with the fence, she installs motion sensors in her house, pointed towards the Dorenzos to deter them from touching her precious fence.
After the neighbor had put 2 motion sensors in her window facing our home and the snow fence, we decided to take googly eyes and draw little faces all over the window that faces her house right next to the snow fence and just write, "We are watching you."
But the neighbor doesn't have a sense of humor about the matter. And while Chris is at work, she finds another way to once again put the fence back up.
She then proceeded to take several pieces of trash, like a garbage can, a bench, a block, and take those items and pile them against our house, pinning the snow fence between our house and those items. And my wife woke up and saw it and basically decided, "I've had enough, I'm done."
Not wanting their neighbor's apparatus on their property, Chris and his wife take it upon themselves to remove it. Infuriated by her fence being taken down a second time, according to Chris, their neighbor puts the fence up once more, then makes an unexpected call.
So instead of having a civil conversation, she decided that calling the state police would be a better avenue.
Okay, so you guys are the ones having issues with the neighbor? And
Yeah,
Yep.
her snow fence is on our property, and she continues to pile her stuff up against our house.
Like against the gutters.
Let's compare maps.
When the New York State Troopers came, we had a map of the property line handy in our hand. I brought it out with me, so they could see exactly where the property line was.
We're gonna settle this right now. We got a tape measure. We're gonna compare maps.
That's not the property line. We own 5 inches.
Stop. You're not gonna argue with her over here. Do you understand?
Yep.
You want to speak to each other while I'm here.
Okay.
Understand?
Despite the heated words between both sides, the troopers attempt to work as a mediator between the two neighbors and to determine exactly where the property line ends.
She's piling this stuff up against all this, though.
Okay. Do you agree?
Nothing was touching there.
You liar.
That's why I put this.
I have pictures.
We have pictures
She
and
also
videos.
came out-
And when they make the final call, the neighbor moves her a pile of junk and puts up the fence in a way that doesn't anchor on Chris's property.
She has generally left the snow fence alone where the cops told her she could put the stuff that was just over the edge of the property line.
Now, Chris and his family have an uneasy truce with their fence-loving neighbor, and he still holds out hope that they can have a reasonable relationship even after all the drama.
This experience has really taught me to listen to your neighbors and try and understand where they may be coming from. This situation has also made me realize that we need to buy a big farm one day with no neighbors anywhere in sight.
You liar. We have pictures and videos.
Someone's messing with your signs.
Annoyed that neighbors keep stealing his chosen candidate's campaign signs, this homeowner is ready to defend his turf, paintball style.
Got the bait pile all filled up with bait, ready to go. Got the old gun ready to go. Come try and steal my again.
Lying in wait for hours, the homeowner watches over his lawn, paintballs primed and ready for action. When the sneaky sign bandits make their move, they get the message loud and clear to keep their hands to themselves. Apparently, not everyone in the neighborhood has heard about this homeowner's tenacity towards protecting his property. For another neighbor attempts to steal the signs the very next night.
What the
And he also receives a barrage of paintballs. So remember, when it comes to lawn signs, to paraphrase our 44th president, don't steal, vote.
I see him running.
out of here?
Atlanta, Georgia. The woman filming our next clip has just made a shocking discovery at her apartment complex.
There you go.
Thumbtacks on the ground, everywhere.
They're in a flower bed close to the pool and the dog park.
Let's just take a look. So we got thumbtacks hidden everywhere around here. In my dog stepped on one. They're everywhere.
The woman filming doesn't think this is an accident or some stupid prank. She believes the thumbtacks have been put there by a neighbor in a cruel attempt to stop dogs from pooping on these flower beds.
This dumped an entire thing of thumbtacks everywhere.
The property management company doesn't know who is responsible for the tax, but it does have a $100 fine for anyone not picking up after their dog.
So thank you for hurting the dogs here.
Thankfully, the woman's dog is not badly hurt. But fearing more injuries to children as well as pets, neighbors come together to pick up all the tacks. They're shocked to discover almost 500 of them scattered throughout these flower beds. For some, the rural way of life offers more space and an escape from the big city. 35-year-old Ryan Scott finds the perfect place to live and run his antiques business in Oglesby, Illinois.
It was everything that I had been looking for. It had the big barn sitting on it with the house. So I was selling my stuff out of the barn.
However, the property is sold to a new family, and according to Ryan, the new owner chooses not to extend the lease as they want to convert the home into a vacation house. With little time to move out, Ryan alleges the new landlord starts to make things difficult for him.
Can I help you? You look like you're walking in my yard down to the house.
Your yard?
Ryan claims he can't move out before the 6 weeks given by the landlord and ends up overstaying his lease. According to the new property owner, Ryan doesn't pay his rent and an eviction notice is filed with the court.
I spent 6 months getting all that stuff there, getting established. There was absolutely no way that I was going to be able to move out in such a short period of time.
Ryan alleges that he feels pressured to leave the property sooner. And one day, the landlord's oldest son gets confrontational, so Ryan starts documenting it.
Did you miss me, Cupcake?
Not really.
What's up, bitch?
Nothing much, man.
No?
Immediately, I know that things are just about to go south. And it's like, okay, now I have to deal with this guy.
When you get the out?
I'm trying.
Yeah?
I really am.
Quick enough. I want you out, buddy.
Soon after, the son is joined by his brother and their father, the landlord.
That's what we're doing.
Dad, I'm having a conversation. I'm a grown man. Leave me alone.
Here's the deal.
Be a man. Be a man about this,
You
bro.
get out by the court date, and everything's done.
While the landlord gives Ryan 6 weeks to vacate before the eviction hearing in court, his oldest son suggests a fist fight might settle things sooner.
You get out. No, Dad, let me, just 1 second. Hey, I promise you, I've never in my life jumped anyone. I wouldn't do that. You give me 5 minutes of sparring, and we won't
That's
come
not
back.
what I'm talking about. That's not reasonable.
5 minutes one-on-one, me and you, to have a little sparring session.
Bro.
I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to you up.
He don't want us.
1 minute.
Come on, let's go.
1 minute.
As soon as I hear that, my heart starts to race.
Horrified, Ryan tries to back away in fear as the son's anger intensifies.
Please be confrontational with me.
I like.
Please.
Ryan, you need to step
Shut
back.
the up. Suck my dude. I'll do what the I want. You gonna stop me? No, you're not.
I'm not.
What?
I'm not. Stop.
What?
Please step
Stop
away.
what? I didn't touch you.
I don't.
Step away from what?
You're in my
What?
face.
I'm in your what? I'm in your what?
I'm
I'm walking. I'm having a nice leisurely stroll, you coward. Call the cops. Lock the door.
It's that feeling on the inside, that tightness in your stomach, where you know that you may be in danger here.
Make sure you lock the door.
Please leave me alone.
Call the cops. Lock the door.
Ryan retreats back to his house, while the landlord and his sons continue to shout before driving away.
Finally caught up to you, the system. They're gonna catch up to you, buddy.
Ryan claims he starts to pack his belongings and tries to get out as quickly as possible. However, a week later, Ryan tells the police an altercation occurs and shots are fired.
I came back from my friend's house. I pull in the driveway and I realize that the house is completely open. I put the car in reverse and I get about halfway through the circle drive, and the eldest son, he opens fire and fires 3 rounds through my vehicle. My leg is bleeding profusely and my clothes are soaked in blood, and now it starts to hurt. And now I realize, oh, I've been shot.
Astonishingly, Ryan manages to drive himself to the hospital where medics treat his gunshot wounds. And they have good news.
So I get to the hospital, doctor looks at the bullet wound, and they say, there's an exit wound. So it came out, we don't have to do surgery. I'm about the luckiest on the planet right now.
It's unclear what provokes the altercation. The police arrest the oldest son, 39-year-old Thomas J. Reynolds. He's charged with aggravated battery and discharge of a firearm and is released on a $10,000 bond. Reynolds pleads not guilty to the charges and is awaiting trial. Ryan moves his antiques out of the house before the court hearing for the eviction and moves in with his friend until he can find a new place.
In the next neighborhood that I seek out and choose to live, I will do my due diligence and find a neighbor that treats people with respect.
There's trouble brewing in this quiet neighborhood in Austin, Texas. This woman got out of her car and into an altercation with one of the neighbors. This man tried to intervene. Now she's on his lawn and won't leave. And things are about to get slippery.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Go home, girl.
And clearly, she doesn't want to go anywhere.
Oh my God.
You're gonna lose that battle.
Okay, now I think maybe we should call somebody.
Is it 911? Do you want me to call? Yeah.
Please get off my property. I will defend myself on my property. Get off.
Oh my God, maybe we should call.
When police arrived on the scene, no charges were filed. And the soaking wet woman finally left the neighborhood. If parking and trash issues can separately cause friction between neighbors, together, things can get very messy indeed. Like in Toledo, Ohio, where this woman is moving her neighbor's trash cans out of the way. They are blocking the parking spot in front of her house. Her neighbor doesn't think she's done anything wrong.
You don't have the right to park in front of your house. It's a public street. I can have 7 cars parked on the street. It don't matter.
And supported by her husband,
The public street.
she starts to move them right back. Not to be outdone, the woman's friend just wheels them away again. The woman is now trying to park.
It's not yours either.
But with both sides now locked in a standoff, tempers, like the trash cans, are about to spill over. The street winds up littered with garbage. But this trash tit for tat is not over yet. The woman in purple is determined to have the last word. Police later arrive, and this woman is fined for dumping trash illegally on the street. The neighbors no longer live next door to each other. Witnessing a neighbor's love life can be a dramatic experience. From the highest highs, like a moonlit dance on a rooftop, to the lowest lows, like breaking up in front of the neighbor's cat. But sometimes, breakups can be a matter of life or death.
Oh my God.
2 construction workers are witnessing a couple's fiery breakup in a multi-unit building. The man behind the camera is working for the neighbors across the street. When he hears the couple shouting, he starts recording.
She about to hit him, bro.
Oh, he said he's gonna beat the out of her. Oh my God. Oh my God, he just threw water on him. Going down.
Despite being doused with water, the woman's temper continues to flare. That's the downstairs neighbor, and now even she is being dragged into the drama. She leaves the porch and it would seem the confrontation ends. But things are about to really heat up.
She just lit the trash can on fire, dumped it in the living room. She's about to burn the house down, dude.
While the men aren't recording, the woman drags a trash can through the front door and shockingly lights it on fire inside the house.
I cannot actually believe it. And she's sitting there just chilling.
She's also taken the time to pull up a chair and grab a book to watch her handiwork.
Oh my God. This has now turned into a serious thing.
The men have just noticed the downstairs neighbor. She's trapped in the flaming house and needs help immediately.
Then get out of the house! It's on fire! Hurry! Come on, hurry, grab your stuff!
The alleged arsonist flees the scene before firefighters show up. The fire is now totally out of control, and the witnesses can do nothing but watch the home completely burn to the ground.
Oh my God, it's got worse. Oh my God, it's getting big.
Despite firefighters' best efforts, the multi-unit house is completely destroyed.
Oh my God.
Luckily, nobody is injured.
Roof just fell.
But 47-year-old Gail Mitwali is later arrested and charged with first and second-degree attempted murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree assault. She is still awaiting trial.
Oh my God.
Henry Grau is a computer support advisor who sees his neighbors more than most since he works from home.
The apartment complex that I live in here is in downtown Fort Lauderdale. I've lived here for about 5 years, and I know my neighbors pretty well.
Henry's apartment is next to the common courtyard on the left, so he and his security cameras see more activity than other apartments set further back.
In October of 2019, we got 2 gentlemen that moved into the middle apartment right next door.
For the first few months, Henry's relationship with his neighbors goes well. Until the night of December 17th.
I'm sitting at home one evening and I'm noticing some activity outside in the security camera. There's no other way to describe it in any cleaner form, but it looked like he was kind of playing with himself in a way. It made me very uneasy. I felt kind of like I didn't have any privacy. All of a sudden, he just totally took away my freedom at that point because I kept having to go check the windows.
For 6 nights after the incident, things are quiet. Until December 23rd at 7 p.m., when things escalate.
I thought, I wonder what's going on out there.
The neighbor is working in the courtyard garden, right outside Henry's window. This time, Henry confronts them.
I went outside and I'm like, hey, thank you very much, but if you could just leave it alone. It's kind of creeping me out when there's somebody out here at all hours of the night. I came back inside, I noticed he was still out there. And I said, wow, this guy's not gonna stop. If it takes for you to leave my window alone by pulling out every last plant, I'll pull them out.
Henry decides the only way to keep his neighbors out of his garden is to have no garden at all.
You know what? Get out of here! What are you doing? I asked you to leave it alone! I asked you to leave it alone! What is your problem? Look at this!
After that, our relationship was started to deteriorate in a way that was quite shocking.
The more Henry tries to avoid both neighbors, the more they continue to harass him, including pounding his windows at random times throughout the day.
Once they started getting aggressive where they were banging, at that point I felt, okay, we gotta call the police.
Breaking and
But it's the middle of the pandemic. The police are not readily available, and Henry's two neighbors are getting more and more aggressive.
It's scary as heck because we didn't have any help. It got to the point that I was actually afraid to stay here at night.
Now feeling trapped in his own home, Henry fears the rising tension with his neighbors can lead to a serious altercation. Or something much worse.
Why are you doing that?
And spilling blood.
It got worse to the point that I was actually afraid to stay here at night. Having to have these cameras running 24/7, going back to the footage of the cameras.
Get away from his property. Get away from his property.
By spring, it looks like Henry's luck is changing.
We noticed that they started to pack up their things and leave. We were really excited. I was sitting here texting the neighbors, hey, guess who's moving out?
But Henry may have begun celebrating too soon.
It took them probably a couple of days to move out, and then on their very last day, you can see them cutting the cable from one of the corners of the cameras. You see them throwing paint glass bottles at the door.
With the neighbors gone, Henry could finally let his guard down.
After they finally moved out, then I started to feel a little bit more at ease. So I said, all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take down the camera system. We left the one camera facing the courtyard. After I got everything down and felt everything was safe, the older gentleman showed up again one night. He started banging on the windows again. He actually broke it, cut his hand so bad that he was dripping blood. He comes over to the door and he starts putting all his blood on the door. From that point forward, after that night, pulled the cameras back out, put them back up, and I've kept them there pretty much to this day. As you can see, they're still running.
And Henry has a message for his old neighbors if they should ever return.
I want them to know that I'm watching. The neighbors know what they look like. The police has a trespass warning on you. We're not going to allow anyone to come and terrorize us again. I'm the one banging on your window.
Why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep doing that?
It's 1:30 a.m. Do you know where your neighbor is? Unfortunately, this Utah family does, after they wake up to the sound of their neighbor revving his car in an open garage. According to the woman recording this video, her neighbor's racket is nothing new. However, this time she wants proof for the police. And tonight, she captures more than just a noise complaint.
No, I'm just sitting here videoing him. Oh, you just got caught on video. I'm calling the police, you pieces of What are you doing?
The man then tries to rationalize his behavior, saying his kids are hungry.
I can't start my car to go to the gas station.
Well, since you just vandalized my house, you piece of
I can't start my car to go to the gas station.
You know what? We have asked you 900 times.
My car to go to the gas station to get the kids a snack without you messing.
Ticked off, the woman and her husband go outside to plead with their neighbor. Seen here on the building security camera. But their appeals fall on deaf ears, and the racket continues. Unfortunately for the couple, as well as those within earshot, the neighborhood feud continues to rage on with no end in sight. Huffman is a rural community about an hour northeast of Houston, and it's where Sam Parks and his family have called home for more than 30 years.
My family was one of the first few families out on this road. Our neighbors are about as an equal mix of Americans as anybody could ever hope to get.
But it turns out trouble has been brewing next door for decades.
This feud has been going on with my neighbor now for 22 years.
Even though his original feud was with an older generation, Sam finds himself still clashing with their kids.
He's gonna lay my ass out, you hear that?
What started in the early 90s as an argument in the woods has now become near daily fights that are triggered by almost anything.
You was in your travel trailer.
What are you gonna do?
And I come outside.
Talking
way over here.
Every time you come out to talk about me and trigger me?
That's the Dunning effect. That's when somebody's so stupid they don't know how dumb they are.
Some of their most frequent fights are started because of the neighbors' dogs.
When they got their puppies, I expressed to my neighbor's husband, there's a leash law in Texas. You have to contain your animal.
You better if you kept them dogs put up like the leash law requires you to.
He got mad and bucked up and said, well, look, if you've got a problem with it, you just call the dog pound. And so we did. And the dog pound came and gave them a warning. The next day, they took that warning, tore it up, and threw it in our yard.
After the animal control incident, the neighbors decided to step up their technology in this neighborhood war.
My daughter came and told me that my neighbor was installing cameras, and she knew from the location that it would be a problem.
And as you can tell, it's pointed directly into our yard. How up is that?
So why are you pointing cameras directly in my yard? Her placing that camera was just disgusting.
You have to invade my yard.
No, I'm not invading.
Yeah, what's your camera showing?
It shows you acting like
right into my daughter's window.
With the neighbors pointing multiple cameras directly into his yard, Sam comes to the conclusion the cameras are only there to rile him up.
And so this is how you go with people. The camera vantage point that she put up there was to instigate my anger. It was to draw my ire. I'm seeing war crimes, neighborhood war crimes.
With verbal threats and camera surveillance escalating, events come to a head at the fence line with his neighbor's uncle.
He was calling me out.
Come on, parasite! Talk some
When I walked over there, I knew where that incident could end up. That had already been calculated.
The neighbors yell back and forth at one another when suddenly the uncle has heard enough.
You want to come out in the yard? I'm right here, bitch! No, you want to come out of your yard? For what? I can hear you. You're so stretched out. I can hear you. What do you need to say? Oh, real cool, bud.
Yeah, like kids do.
Come on, Brick. Yeah, that's what you can do.
Since the wire shelf showdown, Sam has continued to record his neighbor's antics for his own safety, but he sees no end in sight to this long-standing feud.
Do I see a way for peace? Peace would be a for sale sign. Peace would be an open house next door. I have an allergy to those people. There's no amount of Benadryl that will cure my allergy. Only solution is they move.
You got y'all on video. Worried? No, I ain't worried. You need to be. Can you shut up and let's end this?
Little Egg, New Jersey is a small, laid-back township on the Atlantic Ocean where Eliza and Brad Rhodes relocate from the city with Brad's parents.
Brad and I and Brad's parents all moved down together. It was a new start, living on the water. It's a small shore town, so people have lived here generation after generation. We thought this was the perfect neighborhood until we met our next-door neighbors. Our neighbors are an older couple who have lived here for over 40 years.
According to Eliza, the first warning sign is when the neighbors make an unusual complaint.
They didn't like the smell of our dryer sheets because our vent faces the side of their house. So we went out and bought dryer balls because we're trying to accommodate because we're the new family in town.
And then whatever it was, they would pick out the next thing.
In the following months, the neighbors become more antisocial. So Eliza and Brad start to record them, and it only adds to the weirdness when the neighbor starts cackling at them.
She sounds like a witch.
Even though the neighbor is taking pictures of Brad and Eliza, She is annoyed that they are recording her. So one day, when Brad is in the front yard, her husband launches a verbal attack.
Get in the ground, you piece of.
You will? Is that all stand?
Stalker!
Stand?
Stalker!
What's the matter?
Stalker! That's you!
You're crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy. Then what are you doing with the phone? Get the phone out of here.
So now you hit.
Yeah, I hit you, you piece.
When it became physical, it took it to a whole other level. Once that line was crossed, we were afraid. We didn't know where the next step was going to go.
What happens next is worse than Eliza and Brad could ever imagine. Eliza Rhodes is shocked that her neighbors have gone online, discovered she has a criminal record from years ago for buying and possessing drugs, and are using this information to harass her.
I was a heroin addict, and I did whatever I had to do to get the next one. And then got sober, met Brad, got sober.
Felons.
Eliza has now been drug and alcohol free for 8 years.
You're felons. You're felons.
And works to help others in recovery, so she finds her neighbors' taunts tough to take.
I feel very judged, actually tearing up. It was actually really hard to hear every single day all of these horrific things I had done while in my addiction.
And the insults only get worse.
You make me sick to look at you. When I see you, I want to throw the up.
This is what the neighborhood has to put up with.
It would be daily. They would yell constantly.
Are you drunk? Are you high?
Shut up.
Yeah. Pig. Look at that pushed-in face. Incestuous.
Eliza and Brad report their neighbors to the police.
Just give me your driver's license number. I will issue you something.
But the neighbors also call the cops with wild claims of their own that are untrue.
We got investigated for running a meth house,
Elder abuse.
holding someone hostage in the house, and literally the cops were on this street every single day.
But just as Eliza and Brad are in the process of taking the neighbors to court, suddenly everything changes. After 3.5 difficult years,
You're a stupid.
they get the welcome news that their neighbors
You deserve to be in
You almost hit me.
are relocating to a different state. They don't know why, but they're just happy that they're gone.
Since our neighbors have moved, Brad and I will go out back and sit in the hammock at night and look at the stars, and we couldn't do that before. Couldn't enjoy the yard. Couldn't enjoy the water. Today we can.
If you're stupid, you belong in a nursing home. Because you got dementia.
If I could say anything to my neighbors, I would say, 1, you reap what you sow. 2, karma. The third thing I would say is, we didn't give up as a family, and we won.